Nero, the so-called artist of Rome, gave a live performance as the city went up in flames, an unimaginable scene. Rome was burning and Nero was hosting a private concert on his rooftop. That's not leadership, it's a farce of power. Historians like Tacitus and Suetonius each had their tales. Tacitus, with the finesse of a good lawyer, insists that Nero wasn't in town when the fire broke out, but swiftly returned to save the day. A touching story, if it weren't for the irony that he only came back when everything had already turned to ash. Suetonius wasn't as forgiving. He paints Nero as a mad architect who wanted to torch Rome to rebuild from the ground up. Nero might not have held the matchstick, but he certainly set the stage for his private light show. As people fled the inferno, Nero saw a golden opportunity to erect grandiose structures under his name. Nero was a master manipulator. He turned tragedy into opportunity. The Domus Aurea, the Golden House, was not merely an architectural marvel. It was a declaration that he had conquered the city. How could an emperor stand by and watch his capital burn without remorse? Perhaps because to Nero, Rome was just one big stage, and the flames were merely part of his grand spectacle. Nero didn't just become the emperor of Rome by accident. It was a tragicomedy of cunning and crime. At 16, Nero wasn't a prince who stumbled upon his crown. He was an actor in a bloody family drama. On October 13, 54 AD, Claudius met his untimely end with a handful of poisonous mushrooms. The miracle occurred when Agrippina, Nero's beloved mother, seasoned those mushrooms with her boundless ambition. The Roman political world was like a dark comedy, full of betrayals and secret schemes. Classified documents reveal exchanges between Agrippina and Sextus Afranius Burrus, the powerful Praetorian Guard prefect, ready to turn deceit into reality. Burrus wasn't just a guard. He was a supporting actor in this long-running drama, facilitating Nero's moment in the spotlight. And Nero, the teenager with a cold heart and sharp mind, learned from his cunning mother that if you can't master the game of power, rewrite the rules. Octavia, his wife and Claudius's daughter, was merely a pawn in this game. But let's not forget Seneca the Younger, self-proclaimed philosopher and Nero's advisor. He was like a scriptwriter for a bad comedy film. With ink and parchment at hand, Seneca wove beautiful speeches to mask the chaos beneath. Somehow, Seneca managed to transform Nero into the rising icon of greatness. But beware of trusting the innocent facade of youth. Nero quickly proved he wasn't just a wax statue erected by his mother. He was ready to do anything to maintain power. And as the powerful figures danced to his tune, Nero showed himself as the true composer of this chaotic orchestra. Imagine a young emperor who's not afraid to trample over his own mother's corpse to keep his throne secure. In 59 AD, Nero decided it was time for Agrippina, the woman who raised him, to become a distant memory. It sounds like a tragic play, but this was real life. Nero didn't just want his mother gone, he wanted it to be an ironic twist of fate. His first plan was like a scene from a dark comedy, a specially designed boat meant to sink in the open sea. But Agrippina, with her cunning instincts, survived and swam ashore, becoming the main character in an extraordinary survival story. When the first plan bombed like a bad joke, Nero decided on a more direct approach. Like any self-respecting dictator would, he sent assassins to her home, as if it were a late-night visit from old friends. Faced with death, Agrippina pointed to her womb and said, "Strike here first." It was her final message to her ungrateful son. After executing this horrendous act, Nero didn't just wash his hands clean. He transformed himself into the star performer on Rome's public stage. He held a state funeral for his mother and wept publicly, as if he were accepting an Oscar for Grieving Son of the Year, a performance so perfect that everyone had to be suspicious. Nero proved that power isn't just held by the strong, but by those who know how to stage the most ruthless power plays. He rewrote the rulebook with one swift stab and a crocodile tear, but no matter how hard he tried to conceal it, Nero's cold eyes and sinister smile told the whole story. In 68 AD, Nero, the self-styled artist of Rome, became the empire's laughingstock. His so-called rock-solid empire began to crumble, like a failed masterpiece. Rebellions erupted everywhere, and Nero, with his brilliant leadership skills, chose to host an art contest instead of quelling the flames of revolt. Brilliant move, right? Vindex, a Gaul governor who'd had enough of the madness, rose up against Nero, and as a slap in the face to Nero's ego, Galba in Hispania quickly sided with Vindex. Yet, in his unimaginable arrogance, Nero was more interested in poems and performances than in armies. When the situation became irredeemable, Nero reverted to an old trick, finding a scapegoat. He picked Christians as the targets for his absurd wrath and accused them of starting the Great Fire of Rome earlier on. According to Tacitus's annals, this wasn't just a desperate ploy. It was a grotesque act of barbarism that only a ruthless genius could concoct. But every tragedy has its finale. As rebels closed in on Rome, even his closest confidants turned their backs on him. He was left alone in his golden palace, facing only lies and ghosts of the past. Backed into a corner with nowhere left to run, Nero faced his final decision: live in disgrace or die as an artist. On June 9th, 68 AD, he chose to end his life. His last words reportedly were, "Qualis artifex pareo," what an artist dies in me. Yes, indeed, a pathetic work of art. A tragic end for a life filled with chaos and self-delusion. But did his death erase all the sins he committed? Or did it simply mark the end of an astonishing and chaotic chapter in Roman history? When it comes to Nero's legacy, imagine a man who turned an entire city into the stage for his delusions. Nero wasn't just an emperor, he was the director of a tragic play, where every Roman citizen was forced into a supporting role. The pinnacle of this madness was the Domus Aurea, the Golden House, a lavish palace built from the blood and sweat of the people, but gilded in shiny gold leaf. We're talking about a man who wasn't content with setting Rome ablaze, just for art's sake. Nero turned tragedy into opportunity, and this isn't just a historical footnote. It's an indictment of deceit and boundless ambition. Remember, he didn't build with stone and mortar only, but with ruthless political machinations. Did you know that when Nero enacted urban reform laws, he was actually erasing impoverished areas to make way for his monumental constructions? Secret documents from that era note that Rome had to be destroyed, so Nero could recreate it in his image. That's the declaration of a self-deified madman. As you gaze upon the ruins today, remember they are the creations of a tyrant willing to do anything to fortify his power. Every stone in the Domus Aurea is the result of a long chain of schemes and ruthless actions. So when you hear people call Nero a tyrant, realize it's not just a simple tale of power and cruelty. It's also a story of deceit, about how one man knew how to turn everything around him into tools to sustain his power.